Yo, what is up, everybody? Boy Soto here with Autumn Windbags, back with another one. All right. I didn't get a chance to give my thoughts last week or last night, excuse me, after the Raiders' very sad effort against the Steelers last night. So I wanted to come on here and I wanted to give my thoughts on the game and just things that what we need to do better, next steps, stuff like that. It was tough, man. I've been preaching patience this entire time. It wasn't a vote of confidence. It wasn't, I was optimistic because hell, you know, Josh McDaniels was under contract. Jimmy G was under contract. I want our guys to win, so I'm going to be optimistic about it. But I've seen enough, I think, in order to say it's time, man. It's time to move on. It's if you guys were watching the show like last season, right? A question was posed to me last season, and it was, would you let go of Josh McDaniels right now? And I said, yeah, sure. I don't care. I'm not tied to him as a head coach or anything. I'm tied to the Raiders, and I want to win. So anyone who's tied to my Raiders, I want them to do well. I'm going to be optimistic about what they can do because they're coaching, GMing, assistant coach, whatever, ball boy. They're playing for my team. Of course, I'm going to have an optimistic outlook, and I'm going to wait for them to show me who they are, right? And that's the main thing for me. The issue that we're running into a lot is we're running into this notion of right and wrong, and it's not about being right and wrong. It's about doing what's right and doing what's wrong, and that's a lesson that I learned a long time ago. That's a reason why I chose to separate myself from the situation last night. And that's a lesson that I think Josh McDaniels needs to learn too. I think he's very, very tied to his way is the right way, as opposed to doing what's right. He wants to be right and not do what's right. It's an issue that we're running into, and it's an issue that a lot of people who are very good at what they do run into. I never called him an offensive guru. I said that other people called him that, right? Josh Jacobs, Derek Carr, Jacoby Myers, all these guys are saying that this guy's the best offensive mind that they've played with or played for. And we're just not seeing it. There's an issue there, and we're going to get into all that. The offense, man, the offense looks stale. The offense looks completely stale. What I said after the Bills game is we're very predictable, right? And again, we were very predictable last night against the Steelers. Down in distance, except for that one fourth down play, I will give him credit, and I will talk about that. But down in distance, formation, personnel groupings, very predictable, right? So when you're not when you're letting the defense be very comfortable, it's a lot harder for you to run your offense, right? Okay, it's this down and distance. This is the personnel package. This is the formation they're in. They're probably going to do this. So here's how, as a defense, I'm going to defend the play. And when you're that predictable, it becomes very difficult for you to do what you want. In stark contrast to that, we had a fourth and like a freaking whisker, right? We had a fourth and a whisker, and we got a matchup that we were looking for. We got Davante Adams out wide against, a DB that's not the greatest, right? Let's take the shot. Jimmy G put it where he had to. Davante Adams made the play because he's Davante Adams, right? and we scored a touchdown on that play. That is keeping the defense off balance is not just a play call thing. We talked about this. I talked about this before. Down and distance thing, right? Who was expecting them to go deep on 4th and inches or 4th and less than an inch, right? So you switch it up down and distance. You switch it up personnel wise, package wise, formation wise. You switch things up to make the defense pause even for a millisecond. A couple things that I saw, like San Francisco do and the Dolphins do, is they were putting people in motion almost every single play. Now, I'm not talking about motion like this guy motions from here to here, then lines up and they snap the ball. I'm talking about motion out during the snap. Now, when you do stuff like that, you cause a defender the leverage, the defender or the area you're trying to leverage, you're causing them to pause just a little bit, even if they're right. Even if they're right on the play call, you're causing that little bit of pause because of the movement. Now, the movement may not change the blocking scheme. It may not change the play. It may not change what you're trying to do, but you're creating that little bit of pause because it's unknown. Okay, he's moving. I don't know. I think they're going to play this play, but I don't know exactly what they're doing here. These are the things that we're talking about. These are things that that's what I'm talking about the offense being stale. That is harsh, man. It's really harsh because that shows me, in my experience, that Josh McDaniels is more concerned with being right as opposed to doing what's right. And that is not a good recipe for success when the opposing defenses get paid to stop you. You have to be fresh. You have to be innovative. You have to keep people on their toes. And we're not doing that. We're making defenses play defense very comfortable because they have a good idea what we're doing. And it's a tough call. And I wanted to give it time until I saw it really become apparent. And it's become a lot more apparent these first 3 weeks. It's not a personnel thing. It's a personal thing going on with Josh McDaniels. I don't even think it's all Jimmy G's fault, to be honest with you. I don't think we're giving him a running game in order to be successful. I don't think anyone with this poor of a running attack can be very successful through the air. And I think it's the coaching. I think I said it's the predictableness of our offense that's keeping us from being where we want to be. And ultimately, there's no improvement week over week, right? And that's what I said in the beginning. Hey, you know what? We had a rough game. It happens. We got our shit pushed in by the Bills. They did it again this week to the Commanders, who have put up 30-something points the week before. They only put up 3 points and turned the ball over 4 times. So the Bills are going to do that to teams, right? Okay, how do we learn from that and move forward, right? It's tough. It's tough when you're watching this unfold in front of, like, I was watching this unfold in front of my eyes. I'm thinking to myself, they are doing nothing different from last week when they scored 10 points and got thoroughly dominated. The answer is not, well, we're not executing our offense properly. We just got to do what we're doing, but do it better. That's not the answer. Because even if you do it better, it's still very predictable. You still want to have some sense of, like, surprise. Not all the time, but some element of surprise. And I just don't see that. And the fact that we're not doing that makes me feel like Josh McDaniels is really dug in and he's going to die on this hill. And this is a very, very low hill for him to die on. This is not the hill he wants to die on, honestly. Because ultimately, there's no excuses. Jimmy G not being up to speed, that you should have planned for that. You knew when you signed him, he was going to miss a lot of time. So you should have planned accordingly. Tyree Wilson not doing well as a rookie. Well, you knew he was going to miss a lot of time because you drafted him when he was hurt, right? So you should have planned for that. Now, we didn't know we were going to lose Chandler Jones. We didn't know he was going to have an episode and we were going to lose him. But what's your contingency plan? That's a GM thing now. That's an issue. Josh Jacobs, he's not having a good start. He was gone, right? Well, you didn't get him signed, so you knew. What's your contingency? What's your backup plan, right? It just feels like it's a very linear, stubborn way that's just going to keep pounding and pounding and pounding, even though it's not working. And that's not a successful way to do business, no matter what field you're in. Whether it doesn't matter what sport, what business, what application you put it in, you just keep hammering the same thing over and over and over and over again. That's wanting to be right more than wanting to do what's right. Along those lines, I want to talk a little bit about this. And I'm going to be real with you guys, okay? I don't know how many of you guys want to hear this or how many of you guys don't want to hear this. But I'm going to tell you anyway. And I'm going to be like open and honest with you guys. And I hope you guys can appreciate this. I'm going to take this off for a second. Many of you haven't seen me without a hat on. So there's a reason why I got extremely upset. And I just wanted to separate myself from the situation because number one, I didn't feel it was good content. I didn't feel like making this about me and trying to prove me wrong is what people want to see on this show. I think they want to hear what we have to think about the team. They don't want to hear somebody getting mocked or somebody getting put down even after I asked to stop. So I don't like judging people quickly because I don't like being judged quickly. All right. If you can't tell, I'm bald. I don't have many hairstyle options, right? It's either the Uncle Phil, right, with the peninsula on top, or it's shave ball, which is what I have, right? Growing up and being where I'm from, I've been profiled and pulled over and followed in stores and handcuffed and searched more than you guys can even imagine. From even before I had a bald head. I don't wear this gray beard and these nerd glasses because it helps me pick up chicks. I do it to look less threatening. I do it to look less suspect. And it's sad that I have to do that, but that's the reality that I live in. The reason why I feel that people making snap judgments on others is hating is because I feel it's hating when it's done to me. So when people are saying, you see, I told you this guy sucked. I told you this before they even played a snap for us. I call that hating. The way it was being framed is, look, they're right. They were right. It's not about being right and wrong because haters can be right, right? Let's say you open up a business and you're trying your best to make this business go. And someone's like, man, your business sucks, man. You're not going to make no money. You're going to be closed within a year. Let's say you work hard, but it just doesn't work out for you and you have to close the doors. That hater was right. But was it right for them to make a snap judgment on you like that? No, it wasn't. And that's the issue that I'm getting at. That's the issue that is being lost on a lot of you, and it was being lost last night. It's not about being right and wrong. It's about, is it right or is it wrong to do what they were doing? I think there's a really big misconception here because honestly, I was never banging the drum for for Josh McDaniels saying that he's going to be our Super Bowl winning head coach and Jimmy G is going to throw for 1 billion yards. I never said that. I said, give him a chance. Let's see what they can do. That's what I said. I said, you know what? Give them let them get their own team. Let's see how they progress. We're not seeing that. Now I'm saying, you know what? These are the things that I'm seeing. I'm being more critical because now I have more information. I'm not making a snap judgment. But because I'm not walking around with a pitchfork, part of the angry mob, I'm seen as being on the other side, which is not the case. Again, it's not about being right and wrong. It's about doing what's right. And I don't feel like snap judging other people is right. I don't feel like giving credit to people for making snap judgments is right, because I don't like being judged like that. And did it get to me? Yeah. Do I have to explain myself to somebody that I've known for a long time? No. Do I have to ask for more than one time? Hey man, let's just not go there. Let's not make it about me. Let's keep it about. Do I have to keep myself asking myself over and over again? I don't have to. I don't feel I have to do that. I don't think it's good content, right? I don't think it makes for a good show. No one comes here and wants to hear the segment "Way Soto was wrong today," because I'm wrong a lot about a lot of different things. I'm not perfect, but that doesn't make the show. I just wanted to clear that up to let you guys know where I was coming from and why I wanted to separate myself from the situation. Now, hopefully these things are ironed out. Hopefully it's not something where we can have to revisit this thing, because I don't like chewing my food twice, man. It happens. We move on, and that's it. We learn from it and move on. But ultimately, I wanted to share that with you guys. So you guys, because call me a crybaby, all that's fine. Like Francisco, Soto's still complaining. I'm really not complaining. I'm explaining to you where I'm coming from. And if you feel that complaining, okay, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. Like this guy. Okay. That's how you feel. If that, and I can't change how you feel. And I don't want to change how you feel. I'm going to continue to be myself. And if that's the short-sighted view that you want to have, then fine. But ultimately, I didn't feel like I wanted to keep myself in that situation, so I left. Ultimately, that was it. Now, getting back to football. A lot of things are happening right now that in business, doesn't work. It doesn't work having someone go into any type of deal, right? So think of a football game like a business deal. You don't go in there and you're like, this is what we're going to do, and this is only what we're going to do. If things start going sideways midway through your presentation, you got to switch gears. You got to focus on different things. You got to try something new. If this same pitch didn't work last week, why are we going to do the same pitch again this week? The game plan wasn't exactly the same. We tried to attack them a little bit differently, but again, the offense was very stale, very predictable, and that shows me that Josh McDaniels' mindset is we're just not running the offense properly. Well, after all this time, after you've instilled this offense, after a year and change of being in this offense, if it's not being run properly, maybe it's not being taught properly, or maybe it's just not flexible enough. Maybe it's too rigid. It's a shame that this is the case right now. This is what I'm seeing. We have an offensive-minded coach. We have a coach that who saved money on a quarterback just to spend money on another quarterback, the same age, right? We brought in a big money receiver. Now, look, I'm not complaining about Jacoby Myers. I think Jacoby Myers in his 2 games, I think he's exceeded our expectations. I know he's exceeded mine. I had a higher opinion of Jacoby Myers than Rory and RJ did, but I think he's even better than I thought he was. So I think it was a good pickup, but was it necessary to do that as opposed to maybe getting another edge rusher, maybe getting a big time defensive tackle, right? I don't know. I don't think so. You're in a situation. Let me pull this to you. I actually saw this on Twitter, and I'm talking about the field goal now. Okay, I'm talking about the decision for the field goal, and I saw this, and I want to give credit. So just bear with me for a second here. Sorry about that. So honestly, I don't remember where it was from, but there's a stat since I think it was 94 when the 2-point conversion was enacted in the NFL. Since the inception of the 2-point conversion in the NFL, a coach in the red zone, or I think it was the 10-yard line, down by 8 points with less than 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, has elected to go for the field goal instead of going for the touchdown and the 2-point conversion to tie the game one time in 30 years. And that was on Sunday. That is Warren Sharp from Sharp Analytics said it best. He said the word asinine like 6 times in his post. He's a good follow. Sharp Football. I think it's Sharp Football. Sharp Analytics. He's really good. My thought process is this. Okay, you kick the field goal. You're down by 5, so you need a touchdown. You kick the ball off. You stop them. They punt the ball to you. You have to get back there to score another touchdown. Okay. What's the difference between going for it and not getting it? It's you have them pinned back on the 8-yard line or closer if, let's say, you run the ball or whatever, right? You have the Steelers pinned back. They have to punt it again, which is what you want them to do anyway. You have to score a touchdown anyway. It doesn't make sense. You guys follow me here? Regardless if you kick the field goal or you go for it and miss, you still have to stop them and go down and score another touchdown. So why kick the field goal? Twice. He kicked it twice instead of going for it. Danny Ocean, 777. He has not. I think the closest that we got to him saying it was a mistake was, I can understand why you would think blah, 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 blah. So let's go back at it again. Let's retrace that. You're on the 8-yard line. Scenario 1, you go for it and you get it. And let's say you don't even get the 2-point conversion, okay? It's the same scenario, except it's easier to score on a field goal, right? It's the same scenario. You're always in every case, you want to stop. Or you kick the field goal, you're looking for a stop to get the ball back and to drive it all the way down the field. Either way, whether you go for it and get it, go for it and don't get it, or kick the field goal, you still want that stop. But the thing is you're down by one, or you're down by two, excuse me, with the field goal can win it. You're down by 8. I need to do the same thing that you want to do, whether you're down by 3 or 8. Or excuse me, whether you're down by 5 or 8, you want to do the same thing. Stop them and go back down and score another touchdown. So what good does the 3 points really do for you? The only time you kick that field goal is if it gets you within a field goal of tying or winning the game. That's the only time it's really excusable to go for the field goal. If you're down by 2 scores or a score in a 2-point conversion, you have to try to go for that. Again, if you miss, they're on the 8. They don't have good field position. You stop them like you need to stop them, whether you made it or missed it. And you get better field position and a better chance to score again. Just doesn't make sense, guys. You guys are following me here? An offensive guy with all his players, a team that needed to be led by its offense, relied on its defense to get him the ball back. That type of inconsistency, that type of poor foresight, of poor judgment, it's not a light switch. You can't just turn it on and off. That spreads into decisions made throughout the organization. How to run your offense, how to implement the offense, how to teach it, how to coach it, how to adjust it or not adjust it. It spreads throughout the entire kind of the breadth of the decisions that are made. Regardless whether you make the field goal or miss the field goal, you still need a touchdown, and you're already down to the 8-yard line. It's hard to get down there against the Steelers. And you're already there. You might as well go for it then. Doesn't make sense. So, defensively, I feel that, look, we got burned on a play, and honestly, I don't know that it was necessarily Marcus Peters' fault that he got burnt deep, because he's just not fast enough, and we know he's not as fast as he used to be. Marcus Epps bit really hard on the play fake, and he wasn't there for the long pass. I don't have a problem with that happening, simply because at least we're being more aggressive. That is my thing when I was talking about how the defense played the first 2 weeks. They just stayed in the shell. They didn't budge. They didn't really change a lot. I don't mind them being aggressive. Just got to be smarter about it. Marcus Epps, you got to know the situation. You got to know the personnel that you're playing against. You got to know that I got to make sure I cover Marcus Peters' back, because he maybe has lost a half a step and not bite so hard on the run play. Because guess what? It's a lot harder to have a 70-yard run than it is to have a 70-yard pass. Those types of mistakes are going to happen when you're not used to playing this way. So I don't fault them for being more aggressive. We just got to be smarter about it on the back end. Okay. I am very encouraged by Nate Hobbs, how he's playing. I think he's probably playing the best football out of the defense. Maxx Crosby is always going to do his thing, but he just has so much to fight through. The stats aren't going to be there. He's going to create havoc. But I think on the back end, Nate Hobbs has proven that he is a stud in the slot, and I think he's doing really well. Now, one of the advantages of doing this a day later is we get to find out a little bit more information. Information that we know now that we didn't know last night is Jimmy G is in concussion protocol now. It was said today, Josh McDaniels said it today in his press conference. Jimmy G is in concussion protocol, and Adam Schefter, ESPN insider, NFL insider, said that he does not expect Jimmy G to play in week 4 against the lowly Chargers. So, what do we do from here? I kind of said this half joking to Rory. I said, I'm not going to rearrange my schedule. I'm not going to plan my day around Brian freaking Hoyer, right? We know what we have in Brian Hoyer. We know what he can do. We know how he looked against backup defenses and a very vanilla schemes and very vanilla game plans. He did not look good. If Jimmy G doesn't play, it should be Aiden O'Connell. Plain and simple. It should be him. Kaylee Makahanaloa, my brother. Soto, how did you feel about that third down play when Jacorian was 10 yards back and they had 2 yards? That's part of the defense. It's not like he lined up 10 yards back because he wanted to. That was the coverage that the defense called for. I felt he had some good plays. Jacorian Bennett, I felt he had some bonehead plays. I don't know that lining up 10 yards back is a bonehead play, because if that's the coverage that you're in per the defense, that's what you do. That interference penalty when he grabbed on 3rd and long was a bonehead play because he didn't need to do that. He was in position. I think with time he's going to trust himself more to trust in his abilities as opposed to having to always be so grabby. Yeah, that's how I feel about that. All right. Any other questions here? What else we got? Raider Dave. Yeah, man. That's exactly what I said. You can't call that zone coverage 3rd and 2. You got to be more aggressive. If they beat you, they beat you, but don't beat yourself. Trey Eason. These dudes have no clue what they're doing, and Mark doesn't care because he's rolling in dough and banging 21-year-old strippers. God bless him. I don't know that he doesn't care. I think that he's not as involved as he should be. I think he wants that plug and play. Right? He wants that plug and play. He had that plug and play with Gruden. All right, you take care of it and you handle it. Okay. Now he basically did the same thing with 2 different people. Instead of hiring one person to do that, he hired 2 people, pretty much the same thing. If Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler feel comfortable in their positions, they shouldn't. If they feel like it's just a matter of time before things start getting better, it won't, unless something changes. And Davante Adams said that himself. He said he's not about going out there and talking about it. He wants to get it fixed. What I feel Davante Adams was hinting at, or he was talking about when he said that, was the long film sessions. This is what we're not doing right. We got to do this. We got to do that. It's a lot of talk. If I was Davante Adams and I know what I'm doing and I see that happening again, I say, you know what, coach? He tells the same thing every week. Every week is the same thing. We're too predictable on down and distance, on personnel packages, and on formations. We got to try something different. Be that leader. Speak up. Speak up in front of everybody. Don't be disrespectful, but make yourself known. Pandacolima, were you at the game? No, I was not at the game. I wish I was, even if it was an embarrassing loss. Do you think Kili Makahanaloa, do you think that was a bad play call by PG? Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a bad play call to be uh, in that coverage with that down and distance. You gotta make the offense earn it. You can't just give it to them. And we can't expect the other offenses in the league to be as rigid as our offense is, that they're not going to change a play if they see an opening. Just it's not the way most NFL teams work. Let's see here. Michael Rain the third. Will they cut Chandler Jones with conduct detrimental to the team to get some cap space? Get some cap space for who, though? That's the thing is, yeah, it's all well and good to do that. If you're completely done with Chandler Jones, who's going to help you? Who's available? Who's out there that can help you? Who's on the scrap heap, right? There's Van Noy, there's Melvin Ingram, maybe, who can be situational pass rushers. There's some guys out there. The issue is he wouldn't be saving us that much money if we cut him, because we redid his contract and his salary is so cheap. His salary is so low. And I honestly do think that this regime still believes that Chandler Jones can beat what he's got going on and come back. Maybe not this year, but he can. Yeah. Edgar Bonilla, I guarantee AOC will probably look more fluid than Jimmy G. I think that Aiden O'Connell has more experience running this iteration of Josh McDaniels' offense with these weapons. I feel like he's practiced more and played in more situations and played better with this offense. Maybe not against the defenses, but with the offense. All right, guys. I think that's it for me today. I wanted to hop on and give my thoughts on the game. I feel it was another embarrassing performance. I don't know how many more of these Josh McDaniels is going to survive, even though the score wasn't too out of control. How we played, the product that we put out on the field was pretty embarrassing. Not just from a player perspective, but from a coaching perspective. The game plan, the execution, the application of the game plan, the play calling. I don't know that we can do that too many times. I feel that we are a much better team than we are showing. I feel like with more, it's a little bit more spice to the offense, a little bit more variety to the offense, we could be much better. And if the quarterback you have doesn't have the experience to run a spicier offense because he was gone a lot of the preseason and offseason, then you don't play him. Like I've been saying the last couple weeks, we have to stop thinking in terms of starter and backup. We have to start thinking in terms of, do they execute or do they don't execute? Because it doesn't do you any good to be a more talented player if you can't execute. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys coming on to support. if you want to know how you can support the Autumn Windbags, in the description below is a link to our store. The stuff is not super expensive. You can grab a t-shirt. You can grab a mug. You can grab a barbecue apron. Grab something. If you want to know how you can support us, the money that we're making from this show, the thousands and thousands and millions of pennies that we're making, probably thousands of pennies, not millions, but thousands of pennies that we're making off of this show, we're putting it right back into the show. All right. Keely Makahanalea. Stand out super chat. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated, man. Next time, just buy yourself a shirt, bro. They're like $20 or $25. Buy a shirt, man. It's sick. It's got our logo on it. Or you get a Jimmy G one in a strip club, or you can get an Aiden O'Connell one that looks like the Super Troopers. If you ever seen the Super Troopers DVD, like with the trooper with the sunglasses on, and it says Super Troopers. Well, it's Aiden O'Connell's face with sunglasses, and it says the Autumn Windbags. It's the same logo, just Aiden O'Connell. Thanks for keeping it real. Here's some money for the swear jar. You know what? I'm gonna try to not fill up that swear jar. I just couldn't do it. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Be good to each other, right? Be good to yourselves. Hopefully change is on the rise. Hopefully there's being pressure put on Josh McDaniels to be more innovative, to not be so stale and stagnant. Hopefully that's the case, because I think that the talent that we have on this team is much better than what we've shown. That may be a silver lining, that we're not that shitty of a team. We're just playing that shitty. We're actually talent-wise a lot better than that. So hopefully we can show that in the next weeks to come. All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Appreciate your time. Peace.